Hello everyone, welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Today we're going to continue with our Unsung album series. We're going to feature the incredible year of 1972, an incredible year for music. I'm going to feature 12 albums that don't really get enough credit, enough due these days. So I'm going to start it off with a pioneering group of country rock, a group that, along with Graham Parsons and Sweetheart of the Rodeo, the Byrds, pretty much pioneered country rock in the late 60s, early 70s. You just never found that commercial appeal that eluded them. So here we go. This is a great album. This is their 5th album on Epic Records, their 4th studio album, 5th album if you include their album Deliverin' from 1971, which was a live album. The album I'm talking about is A Good Feeling to Know by Poco. Great solid record here. All 3 songwriters contributing, adding great tracks to this album. You've got Timothy B. Schmidt adding just 2 of his best songs ever, I think. I Can See Clearly on side 1. Side 2, you've got Restrain, great mid-tempo rocker with a really good understated guitar solo from guitarist Paul Cotton. Paul Cotton, too, delivers on this album. Great track called Ride the Country, great kind of country rock number. Really great, infectious little country rock lick that goes throughout the song. Great, just some really great playing from Paul Cotton. And 2, on the song Restrain, he too adds a lot of great, how do you say, understated guitar playing through that, very melodic. You've got Richie Furay starting off with And Settling Down, the opening track, great little rocker. This is probably the most rocking album during the Richie Furay period. Other great songs on here, of course, the title track, A Good Feeling to Know, which was released as a single, got a little bit of airplay. Should have been a lot bigger, that song. Really infectious chorus. Great playing. As far as the rest of the album, it's all great. Paul Cotton, too, delivers on Keeper of the Fire. Early Times is great. The last track, Sweet Lovin', has some of their greatest harmonies. And as always, the impeccable musicianship of Rusty Young on pedal steel. What a great band. I think to this day, they're still not really looked at as a real important band, but to me, they've always been important. I grew up with Poco. Those first 4 or 5 Poco albums I heard consistently throughout my childhood. My brother and sisters were constantly playing those first 5 Poco albums. So, of course, they hold a special place in my heart. I love this album. And I remember when this album came out, I remember my brother or sister came home with this album, For the Roses by Joanie Mitchell, and America's album Homecoming. That was like late 1972. I think I was about 7 years old at that time. But great album from Poco, A Good Feeling to Know. Another great album by Mr. Stevie Wonder, Music of My Mind. Now, he cranked out 2 incredible albums during this year. Talking Book, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And then this one that doesn't get as much acclaim. I mean, it isn't as good as Talking Book, but man, there are some stellar moments on here. One being Superwoman. God, that track is incredible. Especially the first half of it. It's almost like 2 different songs in one, but the first half, I think that melody on Superwoman is one of Stevie Wonder's greatest melodies. His singing, always just so amazing. Other great tracks on here, like Keep on Running, Sweet Little Girl, I Love Every Little Thing About You. Just infectious songs. Right here is the beginning of Stevie Wonder's amazing 1970s period. From here on in, it was just great album after great album, and ending pretty much with Songs in the Key of Life from 77. But that whole string of albums, from Music of My Mind to that album, Songs in the Key of Life, are just absolute, some of the greatest albums ever made. Music of My Mind, Stevie Wonder. Another great album from a great pub rock band that was kind of influential in the UK punk scene. I'm talking about Brinsley Schwarz, her album Silver Pistol. You got a young Nick Lowe on bass on here. You got Brinsley Schwarz on guitar, who would later join Graham Parker and the Rumors Band in the mid to late 70s on albums like Squeezing Out Sparks. This album just has a lot of great tracks. There's a great track, though, that's not featured on this vinyl copy here, but it's on the CD version here, called Merry-Go-Round, one of my favorite Brinsley Schwarz tunes. And there's another one called Egypt that's not on the vinyl copy, written by Nick Lowe. But a lot of other great tunes like Rockin' Chair, the title track Silver Pistol, One More Day, Dry Land. Great solid record here from Brinsley Schwarz. How about a little jazz rock? the incredible Hammond B3 player, Brian Auger, one of the greatest in rock on that instrument. His album, Second Wind. I love this cover. Always love this cover here. You've got lead vocalist Alex Ligerwood, who would later join Santana in the mid to late 70s. You got Robbie McIntosh on drums, who would later join Average White Band. And then, of course, you've got good old Brian Auger just delivering the goods as always. This is one of his strongest albums with the Oblivion Express. It starts off with Truth, this real just gutsy, balls to the wall vocal by Ligerwood. It has the standard Freedom Jazz dance, which Auger would later perform for decades in his live sets. Other great tracks on here, The Second Wind, the title track. And you've got Don't Look Away, Somebody Help Us. Really, just a really strong jazz rock album, and probably some of the driest guitar playing you'll ever hear. There's absolutely no sustain, no reverb on the guitar, played by Jim Mullen. Just absolutely dry guitar, no effects, but it adds, that sound adds to the incredible combination of things going on with Hammond B and the drums, bass, etc. Great album here, Second Wind by Brian Auger and the Oblivion Express. When it comes down to TRex, a lot of people prefer Electric Warrior. Some people maybe even prefer Tanks. But my favorite TRex album, and it always has been, is The Slider. This is what you call a perfect record of great pop songs, great boogie pop songs. Every track on here is amazing. Starts off with Metal Guru, Mystic Lady, Rock On, The Slider, Baby Boomerang, Buick McCain, Telegram Sam. Rabbit Fighter is one of my favorite tracks on here. Ballroom of Mars, ends with Main Man. Bolin was just on fire for this record here. Great songwriting, great playing. Of course, backup vocals from Flo and Eddie from the Turtles. A solid 5-star album here from TRex. The Slider, one of the greatest slide guitar players of the past 60 years. He's played with everybody from the Stones to Captain Beefheart. He was on the Safe as Milk album. I'm talking about Reichcter and the album Boomer's Story. I believe this is his third album. Some incredible slide playing on here. I love his vocals as well. Let me run down a few tracks for you real quick here. I was just playing this morning. The title track, Boomer's Story, is amazing. I've always loved Crow Black Chicken, and he does a really cool version of Maria Elena, and just a beautiful version of Dark End of the Street, which the Burritos covered on Gilded Palace of Sin. An incredible album. If you've never checked out Reichcter, he has an amazing discography. I'm going to feature more of Reichcter in future videos. I think this is the first time I've ever featured him, but this is such a great album. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Boomer's Story from Reichcter. A great debut album from an incredible singer-songwriter who was definitely on a roll in the 70s. I'm talking about Jackson Browne. His first album, some people call it Saturate Before Using. It says Doctor My Eyes on it. His first big song, first big hit. Jamaica Say You Well starts off side one. The Byrds covered that song. This is just an album of just stellar singer-songwriter material. From Silver Lake, Song for Adam is gorgeous. You've got Rock Me on the Water, which is a great track. Every track on here is just stellar singer-songwriter material here, and this is a great record. Jackson Browne's first album on Asylum Records, Saturate Before Using. Rod Stewart was also on a roll in the 1970s. He had about 3 or 4, I'd say about 4 just solid records in a row before his like artistry kind of started sinking and went more commercial for the masses. The album I'm talking about is Never a Dull Moment. It's his last really great album of the 70s. You've got some faces backing him up on here. You've got Ron Wood. You got the hit single You Wear It Well. Got a great version of, what is the song? Angel by Jimi Hendrix. Probably the best version I've ever heard as far as covers go. You got Twisting the Night Away, which is just a great rocker. Italian Girls, Mama You've Been on My Mind. It starts off with True Blue, which I think is just a great rocker. It just sounds like a Faces tune. And what else do you have on here? A great little, should we say, lead off to You Wear It Well, a little song called Interludings, which is really cool as well. Yeah, just a really great album all the way through from Rod at his peak. It's a very short album too. I think it comes just a little under 30 minutes long, or a little past 30 minutes, but excellent stuff. Another great album here from J.J. Cale called Naturally. This is one of the most laid-back albums you'll ever hear. This guy was a big influence on Clapton in the 70s, his style and everything. Clapton really adored this guy. You've got the original version of Call Me the Breeze, which Leonard Skinner covered. You've got just a beautiful song called Magnolia, which other people have covered as well. Just the whole thing just flows really well. Crazy Mama, Nowhere to Run, Crying Eyes, Call the Doctor. Another just really short album, but just very laid back, very rootsy sounding. J.J. Cale, Naturally. How about some early Fleetwood Mac? The album Bare Trees. This is when Bob Welch was in the band. Got the original version of Sentimental Lady. God, I love that track. I love the remake he did on French Kiss back in '77. It's such a great track. And this version here has Christine McVie on backup vocals, which is really, really nice. You got the title track, which is really cool as well. The whole album definitely has some really, really great deep cuts on it. Definitely sounds different than the latter Fleetwood Mac with Lindsey Buckingham. I love all the different periods of Fleetwood Mac. This is totally different than the Peter Green era, different than the Buckingham Nicks era. Great, great album here, Bare Trees from Fleetwood Mac. Another good one here from good old Leon Russell is the Carney album with the song Tightrope. This guy, too, was an amazing musician, band leader, just arranger, you name it. I love the Mad Dogs and Englishmen album with Joe Cocker and all those other stars. This is a great solo album. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Carney from Leon Russell. When people talk about Joanie Mitchell, we always talk about Blue, we talk about Court and Spark, we talk about maybe Hissing of Summer Lawns. I think this album between Blue and Court and Spark is one of her finest albums. I'm talking about For the Roses. Wow, what a great record. They got Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire, which was written about, allegedly written about James Taylor's heroin addiction. Great. I mean, there's something about Joanie Mitchell, like, she doesn't get enough credit for her guitar playing. Her guitar playing is just really unique and different. Of course, along with her songwriting, which is just really amazing, and her vocals. But this album has just some gems all the way through. Bar and Grill, which kind of features more of this jazz kind of vibe that she would bring onto later albums like Court and Spark and Hissing of Summer Lawns. The title track might be one of my favorite Joanie Mitchell songs, For the Roses, talking about fame and all its fakeness and all its artificiality. And then you've got a really beautiful song on side 2 called Electricity. This is a really, really underrated Joanie Mitchell album. And I think it sits well with, it's not as good as Blue or Court and Spark, but man, I'd say 3/4 of this is just some of Joanie Mitchell's greatest material ever. So those are 12 albums. And then for a little special bonus, over a Record Store Day weekend, I picked up this. This is for all you Doors fans out there. I picked up the Stockholm Live, September 20th, 1968. This is one of the best Doors live albums I have ever heard. It's so intimate. It feels like you're there. I've never heard Jim Morrison so consistent in a live recording before. It's just perfection. And all of them playing together in unison. Just an incredible album. And a great set list, too. There's 2 sets on here, a late set and an early set. Set 1 is great, the early show, but the set 2, the late show, is just top Doors here. You got a rare version of Your Lost Little Girl Live. You got an early version, a live version of Wild Child, which wasn't even released yet. That would appear months later on the Soft Parade. Highly recommend this Doors CD if you haven't heard it yet. It's good stuff. So Doors fans, pick it up if you haven't heard it. It's just stellar. Doors at their peak. And there you have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please press subscribe if you haven't done so. And we'll see you soon. And throw any other albums into the comment section for Unsung Albums of '72. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.